Alright, it's December 18th, and since racing season ended, I decided to take a break from at least messing with the race car. I haven't fooled my cars much, changed the oil in the white truck, stuff like that. Just did some picking up, clean up around the house, got some firewood gathered, and stuff like that. But now it's time to get this thing ready, and hopefully I won't have that much to do. I'm mostly wanting to check things out and not have to spend a lot of money. We'll see. The first thing I want to do is I want to take the rear end out of the car, ladder bars and all, check all my spherical bearings and the adjustable ends in the ladder bars where it hooks up to the rear end. Make sure those holes aren't wallered out or anything, because we did have to play around with the adjustments on the shock, and thankfully we got it figured out right before our last pass of the year. I would have liked to have gone more rounds because the car went good and straight on that last pass, but got beat by 008. What can you do? We gave it a good effort, but we did get the car to go straight, and I got to end the year with a little bit of confidence in that. But since I had to change that, it just kind of made me think I better check the rear end out, make sure nothing has changed or moved. And I did inspect the welds and all that, and everything looked good. So we're just going to check all them bearings, and plus I want to pull the stump out of the rear end, make sure my ring and pinion still looks good. I drained the oil out last night and let it drip all night. That red line synthetic oil, gear oil, I forgot what weight I use. I use a lighter weight than I normally would on the street. But that stuff still looks pretty and blue. So I got a feeling it's going to look good. I hate to break the seal on that gasket, but I'd rather find out something's going wrong now than to break in half season. And I'm also going to check out the U-joints in the drive shaft. I haven't replaced them in a long time. Actually, I need to get a new drive shaft made, because those the aluminum drive shaft, it's not a super tight fit. Those where the cups press into that anymore. So we may look into fixing that too, because that's going to create some slop that a new U-joint won't fix. So my plan is to not have to break my brake lines loose. Pretty sure I can take the calipers off, unhook the clamps to hold the brake line on, and then just unbolt the ladder bars up front, and the whole assembly should come out where I can work on it out from underneath the car. And then hopefully, if I don't have to replace any spherical bearings or ends, I won't have to change any adjustment. I can just look at them. If I have to change them, I have to figure out a way to remember exactly where that was adjusted, and hopefully put the new ones in close enough for it to go down the track straight, or at least be close enough to where I can adjust it back in. So let's get this thing out of here and we'll see what everything looks like. course, everything must hang. There we go. That didn't go too bad. I'm not going to say it went perfect, but it never does. And it's looking like none of my bearings are wore out. Those are still tight, almost too tight. Make sure I can move them. That one moves. This one is really tight. You grab a bolt, something I can stick in there. It shouldn't be frozen. Yeah, it moves, but they are very tight. That's a good thing. And if those are still good, I'd say there's a very good chance that these guys have got nothing wrong with them. Well, we'll check it anyway. But yeah, that's a good deal. Truck locator. Let's see what that looks like. So I had to unplug the charger on my camera. I need to buy a new camera. The GoPro is great for in the car. Yeah, those feel good, but you got to have some play in the boat in order for them to fit in there. It's not a lot, nowhere near a lot. There should be some spacers. I got one spacer there. I got to remember to find that before. There it is, right over there. And that one looks good. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. It's good to know that I don't have to buy any of that stuff or undo any adjustments. So, next thing I'm going to check, I hate to do it, but I'm going to break the seal on this rear end, and we'll see what our ring and pinion looks like. So let's get that out of there and take a look. There we go. Oh, that's heavy. Woo! Everyone says how easy the Ford 9-inch is to work on. If you don't have that housing positioned or clamped up solid, it can be a real pain to get that stump out of there. I should have put it on jack stands and strapped it down or something. I'm not sure what would be better, leaving it in there attached to the car and getting under there and doing that. This seemed harder. I thought this would be easier. But when that housing moves around, that is a pain in the butt to get off there because all those studs are kind of a snug fit on the holes of the stump. And yeah, that can make you cuss. Whew, got me winded. I'm out of shape too. Let's see. What does she look like? Oh, she's looking beautiful. Whew. Good news is, it looks beautiful. Bad news is, I took it apart for no reason. Well, there's always a reason to take them apart and check them. Peace of mind. But, yeah, she's looking good. Looking really good. Fluid nice and clean. I'd be almost tempted to use that fluid over. Now my wear pattern, I don't know. I wouldn't say it looks a little high, but not bad. I don't feel no grooves. It looks good. Don't feel no play. Yeah, that looks good. I don't even see any metal in there, see if any of it. Nope. No, that's nice and clean. Yeah, we'll just clean that up, put a new gasket on it. And, yeah, that'll be awesome. So the next thing to check will be U-joints. And if they look good, the only thing we'll have to order for this rear end for suspension are shock bearings, the spherical bearings for the shocks. 2 of them feel good and the other 2 feel a little sloppy. And I've had some front ones that I replaced on this. And maybe the bearings are still good in those. The reason I replaced them is because they leaked. Now, after I remember mentioning in my last video when I went racing that I was going to replace these shocks because one of them was a little wet. Well, I sprayed them off with some brake cleaner and ran it, and it's still dry. So I'm going to run them for another year and see what happens. I'm just going to fix those loose. I don't want to say sloppy, but there are some shock bearings that are a little bit loose. Right there. I can feel, I don't even know if it's 20 thousandths of play. It's nowhere near that. I could probably buy new ones and they might not feel any. Now that one feels a little better than this one. I mean, it's really not a lot. It's no more than the actual clearance that the bolt would be that slides in here. So let's get that drive shaft out. Okay, everything, I'll tell you what, they I don't feel any slop in them. They feel pretty good. Full of grease, which I kept them greased. I don't see any wear marks there. I see no reason to replace these. They are looking good. Now, don't worry, I won't. I'll put some more grease in there before I put all this back together. But I think that all looks pretty good. Now here is what I don't like. Now, let me try to hold it with my elbow. There is no slop in there. I don't feel it. But see that cup move? That is the drive shaft and not the U-joint. Wanting to figure out a way to do something about that. I know if I put a little bit of pressure on it, maybe a shim under that snap ring. Not too tight, maybe, I mean, like a 5,000 shim per side, if that. I could make that at work. And something, because when I put my thumb on that, just a little bit of pressure, as you can see, it works by the U-joint. The U-joint is actually moving inside the cup instead of the cup doing that. That is not what a U-joint is supposed to do. The U-joint is supposed to take all of the friction, not the drive shaft. So, I don't know. It surely couldn't hurt it if I were to take a little JB weld in there. I know it sounds crazy on a drag car, but if I were to take a little JB weld and polish it out to where it just fits a little snugger. They're not supposed to be a hard press fit anyway, I don't think, and just to keep it from moving, and it may just, that stuff may just give after a couple passes and it'll be just like it was, which was holding up. Or I could have a new drive shaft made. Always wondered if a carbon fiber drive shaft would pick it up a little bit. They're expensive though. Something to think about. It is winter time. Be plenty of time to order one and wait for it. And yeah. And that's something I could swap out over the summer if it takes too long to make. So yeah, everything, U-joints are good, so I'm going to try to do something about that. I'm going to look into the price of a carbon fiber drive shaft. I know they're outrageous, and this car, some people might think of it as low budget, but compared to a lot of drag cars, it is low budget. Mostly because I'm just some guy in his garage who does everything himself. Everything I can. Now, I do my engine assembly and all that, and I even did my own heads last time I freshened this up. I just don't have a machine to where if I had to turn a crank, I can't do that. I can polish a crank. I've done that. I can hone my cylinders with a drill. A lot of people don't recommend that for a drag motor. They want a deck plate and a good, precise machine to do that with. But I did this one with a hand drill after I freshened it up. But all I did was just scuff the cylinders up. It was already bored and honed professionally before that. But yeah, I don't have a boring machine or anything like that. But I do everything I can myself. I'm getting off subject. So, I guess we're going to end this video with that. Looks like the only thing I'm going to replace is those shock bushings, spherical bearings as they call them. And I'm going to get under here with a putty knife and scrape over a decade of rubber off of this. As you can see, if I can get it off of my hand or not. Get all that off of there. That'll be a fun job. And what is that? It's a rock. I better wait to get that out. It's a big rock. How did that get there? Anyway, we'll get that out later. I'm not going to do that one-handed. May hurt something. I think it's wedged in there good though. So, yeah. That'll be all until after Christmas. I might make one little short Christmas video. Some of you may like it, some of you may not. But if you don't, too bad. If you do, you're awesome, and thanks for watching.